Today is the last in a series of 6 where we have asked members of our congregation to take part in a series of interviews outlining their journey of faith here in Jennymount and their hope for the future. The reasoning for these interviews is to create a visual record presentation which can be used for future celebrations, much like the photo display in the foyer for the 120th celebrations. For those who have our special edition calendar, you will see that the theme is Hope Goes Out, and it features the girls and officers of our Girls' Brigade. This is the largest and most successful outreach which goes out from our church, connecting with many girls and their families. At GB enrolment service and GB display, our church is always packed. Upwards of 200 or 300 people on it, so well done. So today I'm joined by no strangers to you, the congregation. I'm joined by Michelle and Melanie, and I'm sure we will find out how important GB features in their life. So the first question, can you give us a brief outline of your journey and experience in this place and elsewhere?
Okay, so I'm going to start. As a family, we joined Jennymount back in the early 80s, really in Reverend Russell's time. So I had just turned a teenager, so you can work out my age. So so it was a great time to be part of Jennymount at that time because there was such a great youth and large youth under Mary and Billy. And Mary and Billy would have taken us away to other youth fellowships. We would have had a great time of sharing away, weekends away. And there was a great group of young people where we could really talk and share our experiences and our walk with each other in that safe environment where we could be open about ourselves and share with each other. So that really formed real, I think, strong bonds at a time in your life when you're probably a bit more questioning everything, when you're just starting your teens. So then in my early 20s, I was asked to help out with the Girls' Brigade. And as I thought, only for a year to help with the Explorers, and 34 years later, I'm still there, and Michelle can't get rid of me. So I think that has been GB has been a real blessing, I feel, in my life from my 20s right through to now. And it's just such a privilege for us to be able to share with girls each Friday night our walk with the Lord and give them just an essence of a bit of us on a Friday night. And I think that's so important that we have that opportunity. And we are, I think, a great group of leaders and we really get on well. And I think that shows to the girls as well. And I think serving on church council and circuit executive, I've seen the other side of how much work goes on behind the scenes in Jennymount. And there's so many people doing so many different roles and different responsibilities, and it's lovely to have been part of that through the years as well. So I think now over 40 years, you know, Jennymount has been my spiritual home here.
Brilliant. I get the easy job asking the questions. You girls have to put a lot of thought and effort into answering the questions, and I appreciate that. Just before we move over to Michelle, were you at the weekend at Niall and McGee?
Yes.
Where Billy and Mary took a big crowd, and the only thing that disappointed me was the girls got the house, you got the shed.
That's right. Well, what can I say?
All right, Michelle.
So my first experience here in Jennymount was actually as an explorer in the GB in the late 1960s, and Georgie Atchison was my captain. So alongside that, from I was a toddler, my mummy's sister, my Auntie Mida, lived with us, and she was a wonderful Christian, and she took me, my cousin Anne, and lots of nieces and nephews to Clifton Park Avenue Baptist Church, and I went there right until she died when I was 15. My best friend from primary school was Jacqueline Hunter, and I'm so thankful that after my Aunt Mida died, Alice Hunter invited me to start coming to Jennymount with them. And when I look back, I just think, thank goodness she did that, because it would have been so easy to stop going to church when the person who was taking you wasn't there anymore.
Yeah.
And I had the most wonderful time here in Jennymount that was my sort of late teenage years. Then Alan and I got married in 1985, and we worshipped in APA Elam for 30 years, just round the corner. Again, really great years, as our children, Johnny and Sarah, grew up there. And we served up there, especially lots of things with young people. The youth fellowship, Sunday school, Sunshine Corner, and then both of us helped in the worship team. And then probably about 10 years ago, Alan was really very unwell and not really able to get out to church. But alongside going to the Elam, I'd been helping in GB, right, I was just counting last night, from 1994, and going to APA as well. And just about 10 years ago then, just when Alan wasn't really able to get out, I just felt a real pull to come back to Jennymount. And when I did make that decision, it was just a lovely feeling of peace. And I just get that every time when I come in.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Brilliant. The second question, if I can find it. I think basically, we'll move on to question 3, because I think question 2, you've basically covered it, because you've mentioned your time here in Jennymount, and Michelle has mentioned.
We did
We
split
did
it.
Oh, have you?
split it, yeah.
That's okay.
Just to be awkward.
Oh, here, I have it here. So question 2, I finally found it. At what part in your journey did you make a personal commitment to follow Jesus, and tell us about your spiritual journey?
Okay. So suppose I was very fortunate that I grew up in a home where we were taken to church, went to Sunday school, and there would have been Bible studies and prayer meetings on in the house. Mum would have been involved in wee small bands even way back then, and so I would have grown up always being very aware of God and Jesus, and just always openly talked about at home. So I was very aware from a very young age. So I do remember when I was around 10, asking one of the pastors of the church that we went to then if he would stay behind with me and pray for me to make that personal commitment. So at that young age, you're just so undoubting, so unquestioning, you just, so he did stay behind with me, and we prayed, and I made that commitment. And I think even being in Jennymount here, coming when I was around 13, in those early teens, having that connection in the youth really was formative in those strong foundations being built upon. And I just thought it was great to have that, the youth here, under Mary and Billy, that we could question and grow. And although that's like, I'm not going to say how many years ago that was, my own personal walk and faith has obviously matured and grown. And, hopefully my faith has developed, and I hopefully can show that to the other leaders and to the girls on a Friday night. And I really think the Lord's direction in placing me in GB in my 20s was pivotal to that, and just, being able to share with the girls on a Friday night is really just such a blessing and such a privilege. And when we think of the number of girls that have passed through GB over the years, well, it makes you feel very old, but, it is such a blessing to have had all those, peoples to have their lives and to be a small part in all of their lives, and be able to share my walk with them.
Brilliant.
So, as I said, I grew up when I was from very young in the Baptist church, and I knew, from a really young age, going to Sunday school, that if I wanted to go to heaven, that I had to actually take a step and ask Jesus to forgive my sins and come into my life. And when I started to come to Jennymount when I was 15, I still hadn't actually taken that step. I'd been here probably for a few months, and we were in church all the time. We were here all day Sunday, literally. Youth fellowship on Sunday night, and then in Eric Friel's house for a Bible study. On a Wednesday night, we were at the youth club, and on a Friday night, I was at GB. And I suppose when I was around about 15, I really saw the leaders and everything had Jesus in their lives. You could see a difference, and I knew at that point I didn't have him in mine personally. And I sort of stalled making a decision, because at 15, you're very aware of what other people think. And I actually can remember on the bus going to school and asking one of my friends, what would you think if I became a Christian? Because you don't want to be different, you know.
Yeah.
But I thank God for Carol Fenton. And on the 3rd of October 1979, it was a Wednesday night here in Jennymount Youth Club, she sat down with me and just encouraged me to take that step of faith and ask Jesus into my heart. And it was honestly the best decision that I've ever made in my whole life.
Lovely.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great. Great. So, question 3. We know that it is the Holy Spirit that draws us to Jesus Christ, but there are many people who influence and help us on the journey. It may be family, friends, a particular leader within an organisation or a minister, or it may have been a special service that touched your heart. I'm saying, could you share with us what the case was for you? But I think you've already done that. But is there something else?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're two talking
We're
machines.
up for the day.
Well, when I thought about it, you know, Michelle and I both said this to each other. There are so many people in your life and over different periods of your life. And I think the Lord does bring people into your lives when you need them through different areas of your life. But I think early on, when I was a teenager, Mum was that real shining light for me, because she was such a wee prayer warrior and would have told me through everything, just bring it to prayer. And I think, you know, through all my life, I have just felt that, well, it's so important to, you know, in the good things in life and in all the mayhem of life, just bring it to the Lord. And I think that has been just a real influence that hopefully I have carried through. And obviously us, you know, as GB leaders, we've started coming together on a Friday night in our band, and that has really strengthened us as well. You know, we have sort of cried, prayed, laughed with each other on a Friday night, and really that's what it's all about, you know. So for me, you know, but there has been so many. We said we wouldn't start well, you are going to name some. But, you know, there's so many people that we could, but they were the ones that I wanted to share with.
Good.
I know we were chatting about this, and, you know, when I look back to those teenage years when leaders are so important to you, and again, I'm not going to sort of single out, but there was so many leaders in GB and Youth Fellowship. And over the years, so many wonderful, you know, pastors and ministers that you've sat under their teaching. And, you know, my band with the other girls and GB band, all that is just so important. But there's one person who I just would like to single out, because her and God really did influence a direction in my life. So basically, I left school at 16. With 5 grade CO levels, hadn't really worked very hard and hadn't a clue what I wanted to do. So I got a job in a shop in town and knew it was going to be just for a while to see. And I started to apply to all the things you could get into, like with 5 grade C, O levels. At that stage, it was the bank and civil service and all. But over a period of about 6 months, nursing kept coming into my head. And you know how some people always want to be a nurse? I had never, ever wanted to be a nurse. And as quick as the thought came in, I sort of just pushed it out again. But one Sunday night in the old church in the Baxter room, I was in the prayer meeting before church, and a wonderful lady who many people here know, Margaret Hazel, called me over. Now, I was just like 16 now at this time. And she called me over and she said, Michelle, last night I had a dream, and in the dream you were a nurse, and God told me to tell you.
Right.
And even now, like, I can just feel the hairs on the back of my neck. I just thought, oh my word. And, you know, I just thought, well, maybe that actually it was God speaking to me, which hadn't crossed my mind before. I had the minimum qualifications to get in, and at that stage I just thought, well, if God wants me to be a nurse, he'll get me in.
Yeah.
And I applied and worked as a nurse from 1981 to 2019 and loved every minute of it. So I just thank God for Margaret Hazel and her faithfulness in sharing that with me.
Good, good.
Yeah.
But you, as part of your nursing, did you do midwifery as well?
Yeah.
But you didn't specialise in
There was-
midwifery?
Jacqueline Kelly and I both did our midwifery training, but when we finished, there were no jobs. At that stage, the way things go, full circle. And then I went back into general nursing,
Right.
but loved, as I say, loved it till I
Lovely,
retired. Yeah.
lovely.
So,
There you go.
yeah.
Two amazing women. Your mummy,
I know, but that's it.
I know. And Margaret Hazel.
Margaret Hazel. Because Margaret must have been a right age then.
Oh, she was. I just remember her as being like a little old woman, but she always seemed to be praying and.
Yeah.
And then she was used in the TV quite a lot with all her dolls.
Though that was for the.
Oh no, am I getting the wrong
Yes,
one?
Yeah,
that was for Anna.
Annie
Oh,
Nellens.
Annie Nellens.
Margaret Hazel. Who's Margaret Hazel?
She used to wear like a wee beret. Did she live up Gainsborough?
Gainsborough, I
Not
think
sure.
it-
I'll have to think about that.
You'll well remember.
I will.
Yeah.
I will. That's lovely.
Yeah.
Lovely. Right. Question number 4. Again, some of these questions you may have covered, but if you have something else to answer, please do. Question 4 is, how do you experience God's presence in your life?
Okay. I sort of had thought over this, and over the years I have always felt that there was opportunities that maybe you thought, oh, they were great, but in hindsight weren't for you. And I have always felt that gentle sort of directing of God within my life. But really over the last year, as I haven't been well, there has been a real reinforcement, I think, of that, just that, just letting me know that he's with me. And when I did sort of get my diagnosis, a wee chorus, and Michelle will know this and be bored listening to this, be bold, be strong, just played over and over in my head, and I just couldn't shake it at all. And I laughed with the girls, and I thought, when I wake up from theatre, I'm going to be singing this chorus. This is just embarrassing. This song is over and over in my head. And just the weeks that followed, you know, as people were so kind and brought cards and books and, you know, different things, this verse kept appearing everywhere. And even on a needlework that my friend, who's unconnected with church at all, got made up for me, and it was Isaiah 41:10. I'm going to read it because I'll probably say it wrong. So it's, do not fear, for I am with you. Do not be dismayed, for I am your God. I will strengthen you and help you, and I will uphold you with my righteous right hand. And I just gained real courage and strength from that, because I didn't know what lay ahead. And I just thought, whatever it is, I'm in the Lord's hands. So that verse just reinforced everything.
Lovely, lovely. We haven't had anybody singing yet.
Oh no, I'm not going to sing. Definitely not. Cry, but not sing.
That was lovely.
We better not start now.
Because we're
This
the
will go
two.
badly. Well, since that night in the youth club when I got saved, I just felt this absolute assurance within my heart that Jesus was walking alongside me. And I remember, you know, a song from years ago, you ask me how I know he lives within my heart. And that's kind of just what I felt. I felt his strength in many really difficult times, like Mel has said, at times when Alan's been really ill. And I've had such comfort and encouragement from God's word through those times, through his promises, and, you know, through many hymns and choruses, and that old hymn, Great is Thy Faithfulness. No matter what we're going through, when you hear that song, no matter what we ever need, he provides. But this last wee bit is a wee bit funny as well.
To lighten our mood.
This will stop us crying. The very first night I started nursing, it was all very exciting, and at that stage you had to live in the nurses' homes. You know, you didn't go home till like the weekend. And we started off out in the Mazarine Hospital at the School of Nursing for the Northern Trust, and it was all very exciting, getting our uniforms, meeting all the girls you were going to train with. And then we got the minibus back to the nursing homes where we'd be staying, and again it was all great fun until bedtime. And once I went into the room and shut the door, I was distraught with homesickness. Now, I have to say, it was only White Abbey Hospital on the Doak Road. But I felt like I was in darkest Africa. I just wanted home. And I had, at that stage, just been a Christian probably about a year. And I thought, oh Lord, this is terrible. Like, I thought you really wanted me to be a nurse. And I just lifted my Bible and just opened it. And it was Joshua 1 and verse 9, and it was a verse at that stage I had never read before, and it was, be strong and courageous, don't be afraid, for the Lord your God is with you wherever you go. And I just thought, oh my goodness, he really does know and understand, and he's right here with me. And through that night, it was sort of because of a place I was that verse resonated with me, but through the years, it's been, you know, through many very, very difficult situations, that verse has been my foundation. No matter what you're going through, be strong and courageous, for God is with you.
Brilliant. Have you found that Jennymount has fostered a sense of belonging? And the second part of this question is, GB takes up a lot of your time. What is it about GB that means so much to both of you? And I think I could nearly use one word, everything.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Well, I think for me, belonging to Jennymount, I think, you know, being here so long and you see so many people coming and going and different ones, you know, that you lose over the years, and but there is that sense of belonging and family in Jennymount, and I think, you know, we are a close-knit, you know, family church, and I think the bands have really helped that too. I think as people have met in smaller groups and had that sense of belonging to each other as well as belonging to the Lord, and I think that has made us such a welcoming and warm church. And I think for Jennymount is so much for other people too, you know, between the men's group, the women's group, the youth, you know, the prayer activity. There's so much, and there's something for everybody just to give that sense of belonging of church family. And I think for me, GB, it is just having that opportunity to share with the girls and to just be such, you know, a part of their lives. GB's on a Friday night and they could be anywhere. And I think just that they choose to be with us here in Jennymount on a Friday night is great, and that we just make that as fun, as relevant, and share the Lord with them is so important. And I think for me, the youth was such a big part when I was growing up here, and if we can create that safe environment where the girls can feel, they can question, they can find their way and talk about the Lord, then we're doing something right. You know, we're doing, and so I think it's just great that we do have that opportunity to be able to do that each Friday night, and just what a privilege that is.
Brilliant.
Yeah, well, when I got saved in 1979, there were a couple of us at that time who, like, our parents at that time didn't come to the church or anything, but I have to say, like, we were just totally accepted and embraced by everybody here in Jennymount. We were encouraged, you know, to grow. We were invited. We were all in the choir. We were helping in Sunday school, and with great teaching under Derek Russell at that time. You know, and in recent years, really through Alan's illness, I have felt such support, obviously from friends in the Elam as well and friends outside church, but from the people in here, it's been really special. And again, Melanie's mentioned about, you know, people that have gone. Like, I know when I used to walk in the back row down there, and they were asking you and telling you they were praying for you, and you just knew that they had been holding you up in prayer. And I think Melanie's mentioned this too. I do feel a real sense of family and of people who care in the church. You know, the band, GB, our friends. And I have to mention one other name, like an angel called Mary, who lives up the street from me. And I could not count up the amount of times when Alan's maybe been in intensive care or whatever, or I've been at the hospital all night or all day, and this angel appears at the door with a pot of soup, your dinner, and that is just a wonderful sense of love and care within the fellowship here. Yeah.
Brilliant.
GB, I didn't mention GB.
Oh, you're okay.
GB, GB is a joy and a privilege. It's not a chore, and I know as a GB captain, you know, when we go to different meetings and all, lots of them struggle with very little help, but I have the best band of leaders, and Melanie, I actually call my wingman. I couldn't do it without her, you know. And all our leaders, they all work so hard, not just on a Friday night. Like it's a lot of work, but they all put their heart and soul. And as everybody knows, our motto is to seek, serve, and follow Christ. And we just want to encourage as many girls as we can to find Jesus and to seek, serve, and follow him, especially when they're young and when they're making decisions of what way, you know, their futures are going to go. And I mean, Melanie has said this bit already. We really try to get God's word into their heart, that, you know, that his word's real, his word's relevant today, and all his promises, so that, you know, even now they go through things, but even in later life, that something that we've said would just drop down into their heart. And we're so blessed to have so many older girls, because they especially could be doing so many other things at the weekend, and so many of them have started their leadership journey in GB, and that really blesses us. So it does.
Whatever you are doing it right, because enrolment or GB displays, and the girls are up here, even older girls who are maybe a bit conscious what the age they are now. You can just see them smiling and enjoying,
they're having
taking
fun.
part. Yes, having fun. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Last question. You'd be glad to know. Finally, what is your hope for yourself and Jennymount? I don't know if you can better what you're doing, to be honest, but...
Well, I think for me, my hope is that I continue, obviously, to walk and grow with the Lord, and just to shine a little bit of him to others. And I think last year at GB Camp, Sky got us for craft stickers to do with the girls, and I took Matthew 5 and 6, the verse, and stuck it on the back of my phone, and it's "Be a light for all to see." And I just thought, I hope that I can be a light, you know, to those around me, that just to shine a little bit of the Lord out to others, and just to work in me to be able for me to do that. So that would be my hope for me and for Jennymount, just that the church continues to flourish and grow, GB continues to flourish and grow, and the young leaders that are coming behind us realise what a great privilege they have in being the new leaders coming through, you know, and as they grow in their walk, that they realise how great privilege it is to be in GB.
Okay, well done.
My hope for Jennymount is that, I mean, it continues as it was when I got saved, and it is now, to be a place where the gospel's preached, and a place where people feel welcome and cared for, and a place where many people start their walk with the Lord. For myself, I just hope to continue serving God in GB, and just through helping others in wee tiny ways here in the church. My hope is just that I would continue to trust God, whatever lies ahead, and that I would get the chance to share his message of love and forgiveness with many more young girls, and just to see their lives impacted and changed by Jesus.
Thank you very much, but I just want to say one, not that I'm getting the final word, just to say, behind you is the Christmas tree, and sparkling away, shining lovely lights, and I can actually say to both of yous, knowing yous are shining light for Jesus in everything that you do.
Thank you, David.
You.
Thank you, David.
Thank you.
So are
Thank you
you.
for taking part.
As are you.
Thank you.